So, I want to talk about why people should not be afraid of taking a gap year or two or three after undergrad before you start med school or grad school, whatever. If you take gap years, you are not a failure. You are not taking it easy. You're not going to lose momentum. Rather, you are simply recognizing that you will be a stronger candidate for med school or grad school or whatever the next stage is. You will have more options moving forward if you focus on intentionally leading a more balanced life. It can be incredibly challenging for a college student to be successful in classes and extracurricular activities and be healthy and connect with your family and friends at the same time as studying for the MCAT and doing all the volunteering and getting all that clinical experience and doing all those applications and all those interviews. It's madness. Now, during your senior year, if you're applying for med schools, then you have to take time from your classes that you and your family have paid for. And then those grades don't count towards your GPA to get into med school. And often students do best during their senior year because they're taking more compelling classes. The only students that I see that are successful without taking gap years are the ones that knew from their youth that they were going to med school. Absolutely. They had their eye on the prize the entire time. They volunteered in hospitals. They joined EMS from the moment they arrive. And everything that they're doing in college is dedicated towards that goal. Now, that can work. That's awesome, but it is not the best way. It's not the only way. There are lots of really awesome ways, options to get into med school. There's no rush. I know that some of you think that you just have to get there, that there is this finish line, right? And if you push for it, then you can get to this finish line and then you can start living your life. But I have news for you. That isn't a finish line you see. That is just one of uncountable mile markers in this ultra marathon of life. It's like a few years ago, I was running up this hill in Brookline, and it was a pretty steep hill, but I thought to myself, okay, let me just get up this hill, and then I'll be able to coast. So I push it, and I get up to this hill, and wouldn't you know it, there's another hill right after that. I didn't see that other hill before. My view was off. More personally, it's like my time at BC. I pushed myself so hard to get tenure at BC. I neglected my family at times. I pushed myself beyond what I probably should have done at times. But then I got tenure, right? It was worth it. And then less than a year later, I lose my job because of some freak incident. And now I have a great job at BU as a professor, but professors at med schools, they don't have the tenure process. So now I have to readjust. I realize, oh, I need to recalibrate my work-life balance to make sure that I'm not killing myself to get to this finish line that doesn't actually exist. You think your goal is to get into med school or whatever school you're trying to achieve, and then you can coast. No. Life will just keep getting harder. Whatever you think you're going for, whatever goal it is you're going for, I'm sure that it's a fantastic goal we're striving for, but it is not a finish line. The only finish line in life is when you die, and the faster you run towards it, the sooner it will come. Stress will bring it to you closer. It'll bring it to you sooner. So you don't need to run to wherever it is you're going. You are living your life right now. What are you doing right now to bring your life meaning and joy and fulfillment while you're on that slow journey towards the next stage, while you're headed towards your long-term goals? Take your time. There's so much you can do during those gap years to make yourself a more compelling human being. I like to tell people that the more time you take before you go to med school, the fewer people have to die under your care when you're learning how to save lives. Because if you're going to go to med school, most likely people will die because of mistakes you make. And the more mature and experienced you are, the less likely that will happen. So you can tell your parents that, you're going to save people's lives by taking an extra year or two, okay? You can blame me for saying that. Just remember, the average age of starting med school is like 26. That's the average. It's not like the oldest. It's the average. Med schools prefer more mature, more experienced candidates. People with gap years are more relaxed, less high-strung, more mature, better equipped to handle the intense rigors of med school. Taking a year or two will not lead you to lose momentum. It will just give you a breather while you recover from that first hill that you really made it over college and help you prepare to be stronger for the next one.